right, and we're live here at the station of decapitation without your head. I am Nasty Neal.
I'm Treacherous Trista.
And we're joined here by the fine folks of Psycho Ape. We have Bill Weeden, Dr. Zoomis himself. We have Nancy Banana, Kansas Bowling.
Hi.
Hello. We have Steve Albers, who is the ape.
Right here.
In the film. Addison Binek, the director.
Hey, how's it going?
Good. And Greg DeLiso, who's lots of hats in there. Cinematographer, editor, producer, these things. Very good to have you all here.
It's good. Yeah. Thanks for inviting us.
The very first question. Psycho 8. Is this a true story?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
It was very, very slightly fictionalized, but basically it's true. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Names were changed to protect the innocent.
Right.
Yeah.
You'll have to ask Addison though. He was the one who really thought it up, right?
Yeah, I mean, that is true.
So it was true, right? I said it was basically.
Yeah, no, it's 100% true.
But I thought you did change the names, but basically otherwise it's true.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, it ripped right from the headlines.
I know that my name came from Dr. Loomis from Halloween, which ultimately came from Psycho, right? Because the character in Psycho was named Sam Loomis. The character in
Halloween. I wasn't aware of that. I'm a big fan of Psycho.
I didn't even know. Right. Well, that's probably true. I think
it's true.
Yeah.
Sam Loomis was played by John Gavin in Psycho. Donald Pleasance's character in Halloween was Dr. Loomis, Sam Loomis, and now I'm Dr. Zoomis. So really, we've come full cycle from Psycho to Psycho Ape.
Yeah, we've gone full Psycho.
Very cool.
Well, yeah, and now we're on Zoom.
My God, we are. We're on Zoom, Dr.
Yeah.
Dr. Loomis.
Yeah,
fantastic.
Perfectly.
That's pretty weird.
It is weird. It is very strange. And so, the whole idea, though, did someone happen to have an ape suit? Is that how the thing started?
Yeah. Basically about 3 years ago, a friend of mine had that ape suit and he would wear it at Halloween parties and stuff like that. So I had a dream one night that I was filming him running around in the ape suit wielding a giant butcher knife. And so when I woke up, because of the connection with the giant butcher knife, I thought Psycho, and then Psycho Ape because he was in the ape suit. And even in my dream, you could see like the strings dangling off the back and everything. And I thought that was really funny. Unfortunately, he had passed away about 2 years ago before we really started. Thank you. Before we started filming the actual movie, we had written the opening scene of the film, though, the whole slumber party massacre sequence. That was the only thing that we had ever actually written. And so that's kind of what we went into this production with and built on that. But I was able to retrieve his original ape suit and we just kind of went forward from there.
Greg, were you involved when they filmed the scene he was talking about? How early on were you?
We didn't film anything. We just wrote that scene.
Oh,
that
I
scene
see.
was written. And that's what I kind of came to Greg with, of just this basic, like, I have one scene, let's build a movie around this one scene and we have an ape suit. Where do you want to go from here?
Yeah. Well, what did you think of the idea, Greg, when he comes to you with it? I remember you messaged me when you were starting this, and I thought, what the hell are you talking about? But
I'm trying to think. Addison was working as my assistant. This was like a few years ago, and he told me about this movie idea, Psycho Ape. And if I'm just being totally honest, I was just like, oh, okay. I didn't really think much of it, and also, as Addison just said, it wasn't like that much of an idea either. It was just kind of like a guy in an ape suit, and at the time he killed people with knives, and he just told me like, oh, my friend Jonathan and I, we came up with this idea. And really very tragically, unfortunately, when his friend passed away, I believe, Addison, I don't want to speak for you, but I think that you kind of like got the ape suit from him after that had happened. And then of
Yeah,
course,
his parents allowed me to come over and take whatever I wanted from his room, and that was really the only thing I wanted. I wanted that ape suit.
right, yeah, yeah, and then I myself, a few months later after that, went through a personal tragedy of my own. And so Addison and I kind of were, we had went to a film screening together, totally unrelated, a couple months after that. And he kind of just asked me, hey, do you want to do the Psycho Ape thing together, this project? And yeah, I you know, but before that, I really had almost forgotten about it. I wasn't really thinking about it. I think Addison was doing his other things, Rainy Afternoon, and hold on. Am I still there, guys?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's
Sorry, fine for us.
Sorry, something just came up on my screen. I can't see the big screen anymore. Anyway, so sorry about that. I got cut off. Yeah, so Addison had asked me, did I want to do the Psycho Ape thing with him, and when we were both kind of grieving, and I said, yeah, sure. You know,
I looked at it as an opportunity. It was a life raft for the both of us because we were both grieving at the loss of, you know, our friends and loved ones, and it's just like, hey, let's just strip everything away and make this really stupid guerrilla movie. We won't take it seriously whatsoever. We're just going to make something really silly and dumb for no money. And we don't have to really, like, you know, really think too hard about like the actual, like, making a real, I don't know, it's a real, like, thought-provoking piece. Like, let's just make a silly guerrilla film. And that seemed to work. It seemed to just, you know, spark these ridiculous ideas from the both of us just kind of coming together. And, I don't know, just kind of the right thing to do at the right time, I guess.
Yeah.
Kansas, how did you get involved in the movie?
Well, I knew of Addison and Greg from Trauma stuff, and one of them just reached out to me. I think Addison, and asked if I'd be in it, and yeah, I said yeah. I've never been to Detroit before, so
yeah.
She had sent me a copy of BC Butcher a couple of years ago to do for my, I do a movie riffing show called Movies to Watch on a Rainy Afternoon. And Lloyd gave me permission to use BC Butcher, but I didn't feel right doing it unless I got the okay from her first as well. Just, you know, it felt, you know, more right to actually ask the artist, like, hey, you know, I've been given permission by Lloyd to kind of riff on it, but what do you think? And not only was she okay with it, but she sent me a copy in the mail. So, you know, cut to like 3 years later was when when we were kind of piecing together the film, was when Greg and I and Steven reached out to her and thought, like, you know, well, she should, you know, be in the movie.
Yeah. Did you have her in mind when you were writing Nancy Banana?
I did, actually. Not Nancy Banana. The character of Nancy Banana grew because she became involved in the production. Initially, you know, because I only had that opening slumber party massacre scene, that was kind of the only part of the film that she was going to be in, just because it was the only scene that existed. But then when we found out that she was a fan of Hectic Knife, we basically wrote the movie around, like, having her and Bill, and just, we have these two people, they seem interested in the project, you know, let's flesh out the script and give them a lot more to do.
Yeah. I am as well a big fan of Hectic Knife. So
thanks,
I found Greg originally.
Thank you.
Yeah, Hectic Knife. I think, when did it come out? 2016?
Came out the same month as BC Butcher did.
Yeah. I wrote something at the end of 2016. They had a bunch of people ask what their favorite movie of the year was. I wrote something about Hectic Knife. I can't remember what website it was on, but
Hectic Knife is awesome.
I don't know if I ever saw. Kansas, I don't even know if I knew you wrote something like. Was it like a?
It was.
Was it like just a
you
blur?
emailed me after I wrote it. You were like, "Thank you."
Oh, okay.
We didn't know each other.
We definitely use a quote from you, like, as saying the best movie of whatever year it came out, 16.
Yeah.
But, you know, I appreciate that very much. Yeah, and of course I love BC Butcher and especially
okay, you know,
her music videos and stuff too. So yeah, no, we're just all, you know, kind of fans of each other for sure.
Yeah. I could see some of the sense of humor from Hectic Knife in Psycho Ape, especially with some of the dialogue, like when you would use words over and over, like a teenage
Oh,
or
That was hilarious.
yeah, or the sisters when she keeps talking about 3 teeth were lost, and very similar to the dialogue, I think, in Hecting Them.
I honestly think this movie is so funny. It's just so funny.
Really funny.
I've seen it 3 times now. It just made me laugh more.
One of the really interesting things that I'm sure Greg might agree is that we had basic scenes kind of like in our outline, but no real dialogue written for almost anybody. So a lot of the dialogue really is like spontaneous and improvised. Like camera gets set up, feed the people some lines, and they just ran with it and made it funny.
Yeah, that's interesting because in my notes I was writing, it does come off like that, like it's
very spontaneous,
but some things were so specific, like so much about the Ratatouille dialogue. I'm like, in a way, this has to be like written because there's
it's not written.
Like
none of it, none of that dialogue was written.
She was just doing that on the set. We filmed a different scene. They're really sisters in real life, and she was just reciting this giant monologue on the set, waiting to do her scene. And I remember just thinking that was kind of neat because it was so absurdly long. And I've never seen Ratatouille before, but I liked the idea that she would just do that entire thing. Yeah, that was really, but then the whole argument that they have is completely spontaneous. And honestly, it's real. Like they're actually are arguing for real. It's not like that.
And it's much, much longer. Greg just kept rolling, and you can see all the edits in there and stuff like that. And it was initially probably one long take, but it was like 7 or 8 minutes long, and then he cut it down to what it is.
Yeah.
I don't feel so bad now that I haven't seen Ratatouille either. Since Greg says
I've seen it once. I liked it, but I mean, I wouldn't.
I assume one of you were just a huge fan, but interesting.
No, that was just them.
Just her.
Yeah, I wouldn't die on that hill or anything. I just
my daughter.
Fair enough.
My daughter is so crazy about Ratatouille. She's gonna love that scene.
I mean, it is a good movie.
I feel like I need to watch it now. So.
My daughter is like nuts about it. I wasn't that crazy about it myself. I like Toy Story. I like Toy Story 2.
Yeah. I'm Toy Story 2.
Toy Story 2.
Toy Story 2.
Yeah, that's the one I'm crazy about.
Yeah.
Trista, you have a question?
My question is a bit of an offshoot, but Bill, I know that you're a friend of the show, so I was wondering how you know Neal.
Oh, I know how I know Neal? Well, I've met Neal. When I was a guest on the show a couple times, I've met Neal, but then I met Neal in person in North Carolina this year in February, right before.
Seems like forever ago, but it's not really that long ago.
Right before the world changed, we snuck that in. I shot a film which is coming out when they can finish it, which is who knows, because they have to do group scenes without masks. So when they can do that, then they'll finish the film. It's called The Once and Future Smash, and Neal is the co-producer, and Michael Epstein and Sophia Cacciola, whom I'm sure you know, they directed it, and it's really cool. I'm in it with Michael St. Michael's, the Greasy Strangler, and we play these two very competitive people who I don't want to tell too much of the story because it's really weird and very surprising. So I don't want to tell too much about it, except that we both played the masked killer in a very culty movie from the 70s. And now it's...
Trista might know a little bit about that movie, yeah.
I'm sorry, what would you say, Neal?
I can't talk too much about it, but I think Trista might be familiar with that cult film.
Yeah, right. She might be.
I've heard of it.
Yeah, right. And Zone 2. So anyway, what I was amazed with was how I got involved with Psycho Ape, which is just a pure coincidence thing. I met Addison in context of another thing. They were doing a screening of Sergeant Kabuki Man NYPD, this trauma movie that I was in, and Addison was there, and we just hooked up. Well, sorry.
I
wouldn't say like that, Addison. But we stayed in the same hotel room.
Yeah, that is true.
He's a good-looking man. I can understand, Bill.
I was invited to this screening of Kabuki Man last April, May, and the guy who was coordinating the screening also was screening a project of mine. and they
Right.
played Kabuki Man first. My project was second. But then afterwards, like the person who put the whole thing together, he had paid for our hotel room, but much to my surprise, it was me and Bill sharing the same room. So we just ended up, hanging out all morning, basically until 3:00 in the morning, eating like subs down in the, the lobby and everything, and just chatting. And I had told him, what my next project kind of was, and he seemed interested. We didn't really have anything like in stone, because prior to this, Greg and I had bare bones scripts. It wasn't really anything. It wasn't really a script. It was just 14 ideas in a bullet point, and it was like, I was telling Bill, well, it's this silly gorilla film called Psycho Ape, and it's going to kill people with bananas. Like, and he basically just said, well, if you have something for me, let me know. So when I came home with this, new friendship with Bill, I told Greg, and Greg pretty much was like, well, should he be Zoomis? Like, yeah, okay, yeah, let's make him Zoomis. Because we didn't have anybody.
And it was an amazing experience. We took a road trip. All 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of us.
Mm-hmm.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5 took a road trip from New York. We shot in New York, and then we shot in Detroit, or suburbs of Detroit, right?
Mm-hmm.
And
Close enough, yeah.
we took a road trip, all 5 of us, from New York to Detroit, and we managed to stay friends all the way.
Yeah, it was basically like a 9-day shoot, I think, with like a day off in between, just to break up the driving from New York to.
Greg in Kansas got to have taco at Taco Bell. She had
Yeah.
tacos, which I still talk about.
Wasn't that your first time ever having Taco Bell, Bill?
I'm sorry. It was the
Wasn't that your first time that you ever had Taco Bell in your life?
I don't even think I had it then. It was I set foot in Taco Bell for the first
Yeah,
time.
you were
The first time you were in a taco.
there.
But I remember, I still talk about Greg in Kansas and the Beyond Tacos. It was so funny. It was so into it.
Yeah.
Kansas is such a taco fan.
Have you ever had a banana taco?
I've had spaghetti tacos.
Really? Spaghetti tacos?
I had a Brussels sprouts taco last night.
Huh.
It was very good too.
So you put spaghetti in the taco, I assume.
Yeah, I did that. One of my birthday
good?
parties when I was in middle school or something. We had spaghetti tacos for everybody.
Interesting. And I have to say, you brought up the banana a few times. Definitely the best choice going with the banana instead of a knife.
Yeah,
I'm a big fan of bananas in the violence, especially when they're used to cut people. Because that's
I
definitely
think
my
that
type
just
of humor.
it made it sillier, because obviously there's no possible way that could happen. So
I'm going to prove you wrong.
Yeah, the banana would obviously mush upon impact, but the fact that it pierces flesh every time, it was a better choice than just a regular butcher knife.
Yeah, dismemberment by banana is pretty memorable.
Yeah. Also, when filming in public, if you're wielding anything that remotely looks like a knife, you're gonna get in trouble or talked to or something. You're gonna get stopped. But if you're just running down the street with a bunch of bananas, no one cares.
Talk about that, like in public. Did Kansas and Bill, when you're like in Times Square, or when you're chasing with the ape, did anyone say anything?
Oh, well, yeah, they did. And I think they were fascinated with Steve as the ape. Remember that, Steve? People would stop.
Yeah, there were a few people who stopped to take pictures with me with I was one of the Times Square characters.
Naked cowboy.
One guy, when we were in that park, we're doing have their scene. There was a Shake Shack in the park, and the manager of Shake Shack came out, and he was a really big Hectic Knife fan.
Yeah,
really?
Yeah,
That guy rules.
I was a big fan of. Yeah, it was funny because and I think Kansas got recognized.
He got recognized right away when we were in Times Square.
As soon as we started rolling in Times Square, we also that's the way that the Naked Cowboy. Sorry to stop.
No, I'm doing
Cowboy got into the movie because we got out of the subway and he was standing right in front of us, so we just said go with it, and he just signed the release, so that's why he's in the movie too. But
she was wearing that wig, and she doesn't look like her wearing the wig. It's just some silly
that's a
yellow
wig.
wig, And this guy beelined straight towards her right in the middle of Times Square and was like, hey, are you Kansas Bowling? And that was bizarre because, I mean, we'd only been there for like 5 minutes and already like she got recognized in this like silly costume.
It's so funny because in the wig you don't look like you do, you know. I'm not sure I would recognize you, and you look amazing in that wig. That you look absolutely great, but I'm not sure I would recognize you.
Yeah.
You do look like a cartoon character. It's really funny.
You look so fantastic in that movie. You just look so great. I just love looking at you. It's so fun.
Thanks. Yeah, it's
Right?
very,
Yeah. The casting of the movie was so wonderful. The newscasters.
I'm a big fan of the newscasters.
So
that's Greg's find. He brought them in, and we kind of shot like just basically like what we needed, but then he tends to just leave the camera rolling, and that's when like the good stuff comes after they've already said their real lines, and then when it's all like improvised and ridiculous, that's what we use.
Yeah, their first scene when he sang spit instead of shad or spat instead of shad.
Yeah.
And, I was like, oh, this has to just be an actual,
Yeah, that was a flub.
outtake that they put in, and it's pretty sweet. Yeah.
There's a lot of that in the movie where it's complete outtakes, and Greg just has this way of capturing the outtakes, and he cuts it together in a way that makes it seem like it may have been pre-planned, but 9 times out of 10 it wasn't.
Greg, I got to put in here. Greg is a genius. He just, I think so much of the charm of this movie and the humor is in the editing. It's just so amazing.
I agree.
Yeah.
Look, we got really lucky to have Bill and Kansas both. They were, and Steve too. Let's not forget his performances.
It's great.
It's hard to. It's easy to forget that it's actually a guy like trying to emote, I guess, in an ape suit, because you're seeing just an ape suit, but he's in there and he's doing stuff.
Like even I forget that's me.
It's like there's so much. I want to say nuance, but that's the wrong word. But there's so much variety in your performance, even though you're just in an ape suit. I just get so much out of you. I think it's an amazing performance.
It's like a weird miming performance, but like in an ape suit, and it totally reads.
Yeah, I think we were going for like a Han Solo and Chewbacca kind of relationship, where like I make some hand gestures and grunts, then like Kansas will say, "Oh yeah."
How did you end up being the ape?
Well, originally our friend Jonathan was supposed to be the ape, but because he passed away, I kind of fell into it because like they want Addison and Greg wanted to make Psycho Ape, and because Addison and I are roommates, which is actually why I'm in the same room as Addison right now.
Yeah, we just share the same living space. So he kind of just got roped in like, hey, you're available. You'll be around when I'm around. We live together. If Greg comes over with the camera, that's very easy to film.
It was convenient. So.
Yeah, it was convenient. And I mean, it just worked out, and he was able to take time off work to come with us to New York and all this stuff. So it just worked out.
That's great.
Yeah. Where is the ape suit now?
In the trash.
Oh.
We kept the mask, but the actual suit, I mean, that thing.
It's gone to hell.
It probably smelled pretty bad by the end, though, right? I mean, there was so much bananas and blood and stuff caked into it. And
the thing that stuck with it most was the hamburger meat from the Banana Man kill scene.
Yeah, when the Banana Man's face gets eviscerated, all that ground beef got embedded into the gloves and the fingernails and stuff. It wouldn't come out. No matter how much, like he would soak the suit in the bathtub with like actual soap and water, and it wouldn't come out.
And like I wanted to put it in the machine, but I was so afraid that it would just like be torn apart. I should have just like gotten a washboard and just like cleaned it in the tub, old style.
If you notice, I mean, it's pretty obvious, but that suit disintegrates throughout the film. I mean, it got ripped on the second day of shooting when he sat down and like the crotch and the leg seam burst. So there's nothing we could really do about that. So we just kind of, powered through it. But by the end of the shoot, I mean, that thing was barely hanging on by a thread. It was time to go.
Trista, you have another question?
I'm wondering if the suit was comfortable besides all that.
When I first tried it on, it was one size fits most, but I'm not most, so it was really snug. That's why it just tore on day 2 down the crotch. But even in the fall, when it's cold out, it gets toasty in that thing. So when we're in New York, I'm sweating like crazy.
Like that was hot and humid for us, and we're not even in costume. Especially when that beach scene. I mean, everybody was sweltering hot, and he was stuck in that thing, for like an hour while we were filming on the beach. And plus, not only is he wearing that ape suit, he's wearing that goofy Hawaiian T-shirt on top of it.
Yeah, Steve was a real trooper for that. I always give props to Steve because I can't imagine how uncomfortable that must have been in Times Square when it's humid and muggy, and it was raining when we were there a little bit. And yeah, that I still thank you, Steve. Still it's like, yeah, he did a good job, and it must have not been fun to be in that suit.
But the beach one was the most uncomfortable one. I confess I was a little grumpy for that one. Because I was telling you or Addison, it's like, okay, we're gonna plan out what are we gonna do. Yeah. Let's have the plan done before we even put the suit on.
He wanted to execute it as fast as possible because he did. I don't blame him. I wouldn't want to be stuck in that thing for that long.
But then, Greg, you suggested hey, let's do a run across the beach thing. But I was not planning on that. So yeah. But I'm glad we did it. Looking back, because seeing the footage, wow, that looks pretty good. So okay, I'm less upset about that.
We had to get our Benny Hill moment.
Yes. Yeah. It was a very. By the way, the music in that's good, and there's a lot of great music throughout the whole movie. The dance scenes, I like the music, and I really like your kind of cover of the song for Midnight Cowboy.
Yeah, that was all my friend Danny Stolarski. I should shout out to him. I've known him since high school, and he did all the synth music. So the passage in the opening that kind of sounds a lot like The Shining. All the synthesizer stuff, really 80s stuff. He did all that. We've sat on the phone for 12 hours one day because this was during the quarantine, so nobody could do anything. But we sat on Zoom and on the phone for 12 hours over the course of a Saturday and just did all that stuff. And he had never heard the Midnight Cowboy song, so I had to show it to him on the phone and then walk him through the parody of the song. And I'm really happy with how it came out because if for people that recognize it, it's really funny because it's such a lo-fi parody, and he's got he does the wah wah, the singing thing, and I'm big shout out to Danny. He really elevated the movie with his.
You never heard the song before?
No, he never had heard the song, and I had to. So we made that all up on the spot. And I was kind of okay, it just got to be this acoustic thing, and I need you to do this wah wah. I had to show him that chorus where he sings that because it had to sound it had to be the right silliness to that parody to make it recognizable and make it funny and make it work. And he did a great job.
I love all.
I was happy with the Ratso line because it's something I say in normal life, and a lot of people have no idea what I'm talking about. So I was happy.
Walking here, you mean that one? We're walking here.
Yeah, hey, I'm walking here. Yeah,
that was so funny to hear Kansas say that, but I love all the parodies. There's so many. I lost count of how many lines and quotes.
We've said before that we've Greg and I and Steve to count the parodies, but it's such a daunting task that I really have not climbed that hill yet.
It's just over 50. I know that because I went through it and I scanned it.
There's so many.
It's definitely over 50. I mean, some of them are just flashing a cover of a DVD, but some of them are obviously an entire scene from Inglourious Bastards or Shawshank or whatever. But no, there's definitely over 50 movies referenced in the movie.
And that wasn't what we didn't set out to do that. That's just ended up what ended up happening, which is really weird because I mean, obviously there was okay, we're gonna do Halloween. That's obvious. We're going to do King Kong. That's obvious. Nightmare on Elm Street with the banana hand in the bathtub. That's obvious. But then once we started filming, it was okay, now we're jamming in Mighty Joe Young, and now we're jamming in Midnight Cowboy. And they just, once you look at the hour-long cut, it's like, wow, dude, we referenced so many movies, and movies that people probably haven't even seen, like the original Mighty Joe Young. I had never seen it.
I was actually happy it got some love, because that was actually one of my mom's favorites when I was growing up, and I watched it many times as a kid.
Watched it
And
like a
it's
month
not a movie
before
that gets much talk.
We watched both, the original and the remake. We watched them both for the first time like a month before shooting, just to pack in some guerrilla movie references. And like I'd never seen either. So that was, you know, if we had made this movie, I probably still wouldn't have seen either of those Mighty Joe Young films. I'm a big King Kong fan.
I was the same. I grew up loving the original King Kong a lot. I used to watch it.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite movies.
But yeah, and of course Jurassic Park is one of my favorite movies, and they of course reference King Kong, and then I remember being really excited about that as a little kid. But yeah, no, I had never seen Mighty Joe Young. Addison and I sat down and we would watch. We watched like John Landis's Schlock. It was almost kind of like we want to try to beat that movie, like because it's like kind of so nothing, and we're like, if we can make something as good or bad as this, then we're kind of on the right track. That was kind of a goal. I still think it's a fun fact that somehow Addison has never seen the original Planet of the Apes, which like blows my mind. I've still never.
The interview is over.
Yeah, the original Planet of the Apes I have not seen. However, I've seen the crappy Tim Burton remake, and like that was again just
watchable.
Something that we watched right before shooting, just to throw it in there, just to like have the knowledge of it.
One of the original has one of the greatest endings in any movie, and then
I know
what
the ending is. I've seen it buried in Spaceballs, for God's sakes. But so it's like I've seen that movie through parodies of the movie, but I've never actually seen the movie.
Right. That's interesting. Trista, you have another question?
Kansas, you're obviously a filmmaker in your own right. So I know a lot of filmmakers that show up on days when they're just acting, and it's hard for them to not be conceptualizing how they would be making the film. Is that something you grapple with, or are you able to just show up and be an actor?
Yeah, I have a really hard time with that. I'm like really bossy. So, I have to just make myself
I have to say, it really helped, because it was literally just us, everyone that you're looking at in the Zoom.
Yeah, this is it. This is the crew.
And, we're running around doing everything. So it really helped. I know it helped me personally a lot, because just having another director on the set just kind of made it all easier. Someone that already knows the ropes. I know that Kansas, is used to doing also like guerrilla style filmmaking, no pun intended, style filmmaking and stuff too. So I thought it helped a lot just to have someone else on set like that knows how this all works. So yeah.
I also I would say lines that I wasn't supposed to say, but a lot of them actually made it into the movie. So
yeah, actually, one of my favorite
improv.
One of my favorite improv lines is a line that Kansas said that Greg almost cut because it wasn't a close-up, but it was when she points to a banana and says, don't they ever get dole? And it was just like an off-the-cuff line, but he only had zoomed in on the banana and like not her face when she said the line. So he didn't think like it was worth salvaging, but I did. And I thought, that's a funny joke. Who cares that her face isn't on the screen? She said the joke and pointed the banana. Just use that, just put it in there. And that's one of my favorites. She just said that. Like, I didn't tell her to say it. Greg didn't tell her to say it. She just said it, pointed the banana. And to me, it's like, yeah, put that in the movie.
Greg, because you guys mentioned that, you used a lot of the outtakes and stuff. Like, how early on did you know you were going to do that? Was that something while you're filming? You're like, I think I'm going to use this, or was it while you're editing?
Definitely right away. So the newscaster team, who were also just absolutely amazing, we talked about them before. So they are local actors here in Detroit, and I was friends with one of them, and she brought the Grover, the other guy, with her, and we had never met him. And that whole news thing is so silly, because you can like literally see that they're just like reading it off of a card in front of the camera, and like the green screen is terrible. And as soon as, I think literally in the footage that's in the actual finished movie, you can hear me,
you can hear us
in the background saying like, let's just use this all.
Yeah, it's all in there. It's all.
No, definitely. I knew right away that was going to be one of the funniest moments of just letting that all happen. And of course, my favorite scene is Kansas and Bill did beyond amazing, but I have to admit my favorite part is the Ratatouille thing, because that was all just real. And I love the crazy anarchy of that. And it's really fun for me to try to figure out how to like construct a scene out of something that's just total chaos. And I love that at one point you can see a guy smoking cigarettes on his balcony, like watching us in the background filming. And it was, like I said, like we were saying before, it was just a real argument that they were actually having. And I love the fact that it breaks down and you see like Steve without the mask on, like just standing there like on set and stuff. But yeah, so all that stuff was like, if it was up to me, that scene probably would be longer, because I would just keep letting it go and go.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I live for that kind of stuff. I mean, so especially in a movie like this that can just be so free form and doesn't have to rely on plot to get by or anything. I have a lot of fun with it. But at the same time, I should say, there was stuff in there that was written. I mean, I remember when we did the Inglourious Basterds scene. I think I watched that scene on YouTube and scribbled the lines into like a notebook right before we did it, but it was still written. And there, the slumber, like Addison said, that he and his friend Jonathan wrote the slumber party scene coming into it. And we definitely wrote a lot of the jokes at the end in the King Kong parody and stuff. So it was roughly half and half. There was stuff that was written, but no, pretty much all the times when there was a weird outtake thing, that's when I got most excited and was like, yeah, we're definitely leaving this in the movie. That's gonna
you can hear us laugh quite a few times in the movie. And I never said to like clip out that audio or anything. Like I wanted to be there. I mean, it's the kind of movie that revels in the outtakes and the flubs, and it's like, just put all that stuff in there, because this movie is clearly about a killer gorilla, but it's a guy in a costume with the strings dangling off, and you can see his sneakers in almost every shot that he's in. Why would you cut out the giggling in the back? Who cares?
It is an enjoyable movie to watch. I know both of you, were going through a hard time when you're making it, and it was something, like you said earlier, to get your minds off things, and
it was
but it really comes through. And I think right now, I mean, you couldn't have planned that would come out during the pandemic, but the viewers, they might not be going through the same thing, but people, want something just fun to watch, and I think it does that for people. At least I would think it does.
Thanks. Yeah, I can't speak for anyone else, and of course all of our situations were just unique, but I know for me personally, it was like hugely therapeutic to just like get out of the house again and start making something. And like you said, definitely the silliness of it helped me through the early grieving process, which I felt it was kind of so soon after my tragedy that we started, and once we started shooting, I at least felt like I had something that I was doing, and it was always fun to be on set. And like Bill was saying, the road trip that we had was just so much fun, and really got me out of Michigan, got me out of my head and into doing something else. So it was really therapeutic for me, for sure. And I'm glad that comes through on the screen, because I think
I think one of the phenomenal things about the movie is that this very hysterically funny movie grew out of a couple of personal tragedies. It just that's
it's weird. It's definitely a weird sort of like, like on one hand we were only making it to get out of our own funk, but then the movie itself is like silly and fun. So you don't get that. You don't see that at all. I think people, when they go through personal tragedies or something like that, maybe they sit down and write like a depressing script or a drama or something. And for me, it's the opposite. It's I want to surround myself with as much silliness and weirdness as possible, so I can, break free from whatever's going on in my head that is like serious.
If the film takes off and becomes the cult classic that I think it should, then that's going to be part of the mythology. It
was born from tragedy, which is, that's unfortunate, but it is true. It's 100% true.
Oh, and then we should also mention that in Detroit we got to see Kansas's films. We had a night of watching Kansas's films, which was so much fun.
Oh,
That was
very
awesome.
cool.
Right,
Yeah.
Yeah, there was you had an evening of your films, including one starring Iggy Pop.
Yeah, I did a screening in Detroit. This place called, I think, the UFO Factory or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Where they screened a bunch of music videos I directed. It was really fun. I met Nick, who helped put it on, who I'm still friends with, and Greg just had a screening with Nick, and it's all cool. Yeah.
Yeah. I want to say Kansas is legitimately one of my favorite music video directors ever, and it was really cool to see all her movies at the UFO Factory. It was fun. Yeah, she screened a whole hour-long block of all her music videos, or maybe not all of them, but
Yeah, just a handful. But if anyone wants to check them out, they're all on my website. All of my favorite ones at kansas-bowling.com. You can Google it, you'll find it.
All right, very cool. Yeah, I'll check those out myself.
One of our scenes, the Inglourious Bastards scene, was filmed in my apartment in New York.
Yep.
Oh, really?
That was funny because we were kind of like we were running around New York shooting, and then we were kind of landed at Bill's house to like take a break just from filming, and we didn't even plan. We kind of had to ask Bill's lovely wife, who was gracious enough to let us film in her apartment. And I was kind of like, come on, guys, we got to keep shooting. We got to shoot more stuff.
We're only here for 4 days.
Yeah. And that's when we kind of were like, everybody was just taking a break from running around Times Square and shooting. And like I said, I just started scribbling the scene itself into this notebook that we had, which was, I watched the opening of Inglourious Bastards on a phone, and then was like figuring out, well, what jokes can we do? What lines should I, because that original scene in Bastards is like, classic Tarantino. It's like 15 minutes long or 20 minutes long or something. And I want, to condense it down to a few minutes. Yeah. But it was super fun. And yes, thank you very much, Bill, for letting us do that. I always think it's funny in the movie too, because you're in the location where you first see Nancy is my old house. And then it just cuts and you're in Bill's apartment. And it doesn't like matter, but you're just in a completely different place. Like it makes no sense. Like it just cuts to a totally different room, and it's supposed to be like the same place, but it really doesn't matter at all. I don't think anybody even notices that.
And I'm chasing them on the beach, and suddenly we're in Times Square.
Right.
Yeah, see, it's irrelevant. That's the sort of thing I liked about making the movie, was basically, if you had to think too hard about something, then it's like, no, then throw that away. Like, just stop thinking and let's just do it, and it's going to be funny and weird. Like, who cares? And because in Bill's apartment, you can see, like, he's got like a little caricature of himself in the background. And then you see the Kabuki Man, the faded Kabuki Man poster on the wall. And so it's like, okay, they're clearly filming in Bill Weeden's apartment. Like, they're not disguising that fact at all.
And on the wall of the slumber party, there's this poster for a movie that I researched, and Grover is in it, the other side of the shadows.
Oh, he is?
Grover's in that movie? That's
no way.
I didn't know that. That's really funny.
Yeah, that poster,
right?
That's really.
Someone gave that poster to me at the
That was a
screen.
freebie.
Yeah, and they were like, "Can you put this poster up in the movie you're acting in?" I was like, "Sure."
Were you the one who brought it, Kansas?
Yeah. Someone gave it to her, and so we stuck it on the wall.
Well, that's a huge coincidence. I assume Grover was the one who gave it to you.
No, I don't think Grover knows that it's in the movie or anything.
No.
Because he's one of the stars of it. It's a short film.
No way.
Yeah,
that would be insane.
You gotta get
that adds a whole other layer to the whole thing, the whole joke. Now, like,
that's IMDb trivia, Bill. You got to get on the trivia on the IMDb. You got to put that in.
There's also a poster in my apartment, which was of a musical I wrote way back in the 70s, which was a 2-performance.
Oh, yeah.
And that's in there too.
And those are just more references to things, like, just bizarre references to things. Yeah. Little tidbits.
Well, that's funny. That's just like a happy accident.
Yeah, I don't think any of us actually looked up that film.
I did.
I didn't.
I'm that kind of geek.
But you looked it up and you discovered Grover is in this, and then it's like, wait, he's in the movie, our movie too. That's weird.
He's in the poster. He's in the movie. That's the poster on the wall, and he's in the movie.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
I'll have to look that up.
Grover is.
Yeah, I'm not sure who.
Grover's the newscaster.
Oh, sorry, Grover's one
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh,
that's- all right.
Yeah,
That's
he's the guy
awesome.
that goes off on the rant about like shat versus shit.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
that's-
I'm a big fan of his work actually from the movie.
Yeah.
Something suave theater here in the chat says, "Hey gang, really love the movie. Any hope for a Psycho Ape 2?"
That would be great.
I mean,
I'm up.
I don't know. It was tough just to finish this one just because of all the different Greg's camera. That thing is on its last legs. It almost ate a tape. Like day one of shooting in New York, we almost lost that whole first day of shooting because the tape got stuck.
So terrifying. Yeah, so it's a Panasonic DVX 100B. If anybody's a fan of Arrested Development, it's the camera that shot that show. Pretty much every documentary made between around 05 and 08 are all shot on that camera. I used Hectic Knife to use that and to make that, I made Hectic Knife on that same exact camera. I bought it back in 2005 or 6. And yeah, it's it shoots on tape, mini DV tape, and it's not HD, and it's well beyond its tape revolutions number that it's supposed to, that it can supposedly handle. It's been to the show, twice, and
the little flap on the side during our last shoot had to be held together with masking tape.
It's the LCD screen is breaking down, and like Addison said, so we I think I don't remember the exact number, but let's say like 10,000-12,000. Addison had raised this money that enabled us to go make the movie in New York, and so for a tiny micro budget, no permit, guerrilla filmmaking thing on the streets, every day is costing you, a couple $1,000s, and it's really precious, and you don't have any real resources or anything. So we shot all day in New York, and I go to eject the tape to put in a new tape. You get an hour's worth of tape, and you're doing your raw footage and stuff, and I get an error that the tape is being eaten. And gosh, we would have lost, a couple $1,000s worth of our footage and all these resources. I almost had a heart
It was like all Times Square. All the Times Square footage would have been lost.
Yeah, and thankfully it was just okay. Like basically the other scary thing was, we didn't know whether or not the footage was safe until we drove it all the way back to Detroit, because I have to run a Mac Mini with a FireWire because it doesn't even have USB. My camera predates USB, like literally. So that was really scary, but thank God all the footage was totally safe. I think
there's some pixels here and there in some footage, but I think it just adds to the overall aesthetic of the fact that, hey guys, this is a really cheap movie and we shot it on tape, so you're gonna get some flaws. You're gonna get your fair share of flaws. So the pixels don't bother me at all, but I would have been obviously devastated if we lost all that time.
Greg, are you telling Greg? Are you telling me that saying that all the way back to Detroit, you didn't know whether that footage was saved?
Yep, correct. I mean, I thought it was like okay, but yeah, I didn't have any confirmation until I got all the way back to, literally after we dropped you guys off at the hotel, and I got back to my house and started loading it in. The first thing when I got in the door, and I sighed in relief that it was all fine. And like Addison said, I mean, I don't remember the number. I think we probably shot like 30 hours of raw footage or something like that, which is, kind of, honestly, which is kind of low for a feature. But,
yeah.
There's only 2 scenes in the movie where you actually see digital artifacts, like from the tape, which was somewhat surprising because of the age of the camera and stuff.
What are digital artifacts? I have no idea what you're talking
like
about.
Just
like pixels,
glitchy looking fuzz on the yeah.
Like it's not really pixels because it's on the tape, but it's like the tape had gotten screwed up, in the gears. Mm-hmm. And so now you see, if you look close enough, you will see them. But I mean, it's not so glaringly obvious. Like there is some,
like you said, it adds to the effect of you're watching a VHS movie.
Yeah, exactly. So that was one of the things that helped us, is that shooting the entire film on mini DV. If there are
a lot of people would probably try to redo that, digitally, and can't do it.
Right,
so. Exactly. Yep.
Most people would film digitally with HD, like 4K cameras now, and go backwards and add filters. I didn't want to do that, and that's one of the reasons why I was like, "Hey, man, like let's use your camera, and we'll film Hectic, or we'll film Psycho Wave, the same camera you used to film Hectic, and it'll look the same, but this one will just be in color, and it'll still just have that.
Most of it will be in color.
Most of it, yeah. But it'll still have that really like that. It was just that look that is what I thought would help, make the movie achieve the kind of look that I wanted for it. Like this shot on video movie that may have come from the 90s or something, and like if it was shot in 4K, I don't know if it would have had the same effect.
And I should add really quick along those lines, big shout out to Jason Ewert, who's
great.
The other member of the little Psycho team. He has been in Minnesota this whole time, helping us remotely, but he's the one that put together the teasers in the very beginning when we barely had any footage, and those really helped kind of define the look and the aesthetic. He's the one that made the opening crawl have the VHS look on it, and he did some really brilliant things. There's that shot when we pull out and we reveal that we're in Times Square. He's the one that added the Las Vegas style sign that says like "Welcome to New York." I mean, that's obviously not really there. He added that in. He did a lot of the blood stuff that's in there. Just some of the special effects stuff that I couldn't really do, or did, it just was too hard for me to do. He added the disco ball filter to the slumber party. So he did a lot of stuff and really helped with the look of the whole movie.
The opening scene too, with the cops. I mean, that's all him, with the police lights and all that stuff.
Yep,
I mean,
yep.
None of that was on set, like we didn't have
flashing police lights in the background. He was
the lights that we had in the movie you see on camera during like the slumber party scene, and then they get recycled during like the bathtub scene, and you can see them clear as day. They're right there. But anything like digital later is what Jason added.
Yep. He also did all the artwork, so he did the DVD artwork that will be coming out.
All the posters, all the teaser trailers. That's 100% him.
Yeah, I love actually all the poster art.
The DVD.
And I saw the cover art recently.
He did a great job with that. Great job.
What were you about to say, Bill?
I just said the DVD art is great.
Yeah.
I hope we get to get those DVDs to give to people or to buy for people.
Well, along those lines, what are the plans to release the movie?
Well, it's a work in progress. I mean, that artwork was just literally finished 2-3 days ago, and so now that we have the artwork, we can move forward with actually pressing DVDs. But that's going to be the matter of like uploading the file to this website, and then uploading the artwork, and ordering 200 copies, and then that's going to get sent to us. So we're still looking at about probably 3 to 4 weeks maybe of a turnaround until we have DVDs. It just takes a long time to get this stuff manufactured.
Is there any plan to do I know festivals now are virtual, but was there any plans to do festivals?
Oh, yeah. Festivals for sure. I've got a whole bunch of them bookmarked. Unfortunately, these festivals, they're not happening until next summer, next fall. They've already happened for the year, and so we're going to be submitting this movie that by the time these festivals happen, it will already have been out for a little while. But it still would be cool to get it into some festivals and stuff.
So it's in the process of being uploaded to Amazon as we speak as well.
Yeah, that too.
Oh, okay.
It'll be on Amazon Prime soon.
Oh, it will. Oh, good.
Yeah. The DVDs is just a whole other beast.
How soon would that be? Did you have any idea?
It should be literally by hopefully the end of this week or early next week.
Oh, wow. That's great. Oh, wow. Yeah.
Trista, you have another question?
Bill, you've had such an esteemed career that spans so many years, and I think a lot of artists would aspire that. I'm wondering if you can mention how you think you achieved that.
That was to me?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, I started out as a comedy writer and a songwriter, and I got to write for a lot of stars like Lily Tomlin and Carol Channing and Stella and Mira and Dick Shawn and a lot of folks. But then somewhere along the line, I had a writing partner that I had met in school. We went through college and we came to New York. We were writing comedy songs, and somebody asked us to do it in a cabaret, and we did, and we got good reviews, and a great manager who was Woody Allen's manager too. And then we added another member to our group. We got into business theater or industrial theater, doing sales shows for Fortune magazine and other Fortune 500 companies. And then one day I decided, I'm sick of this. I want to become an actor. And I saw a casting notice for this movie that sounded very weird. And it was called K-Man, K-Man. And the description just sounded like trauma. And I was already in love with the Toxic Avenger. So I said, I'm going to submit for this thing and see what happens. I submitted for it, and I got it. And then I became an actor, and I was in the final cast of a musical called The Fantastics, which was the longest running show in the history of the American theater. It closed in its original production in 2002, and I was in the last year and a half. And then I've been doing lots of stuff and other movies, and it's one of those things that I reinvented myself several times, and I'm still, I got a lot of stuff going on. It's just amazing, and I got to work with these wonderful people. This was honestly one of the most fun projects I've ever worked on. It really was. I mean, you don't meet people in one project that you like as much as I like everybody on the screen. Even Trista, I don't know, but she seems great.
Well, I just gave you a compliment. So.
Sorry. Yeah. But I mean, we had so much fun doing this project. I did. I even got to film an audition with Kansas. She had an audition. Remember, we read that audition together. That was fun. Yeah, and it was an amazing experience, and I think that comes. I think that feeds into the movie. I think that the movie benefits from the fact that we had a lot of fun making it. It just has an energy.
I think it definitely comes through. Yeah.
It has an energy that you cannot buy. You can't manufacture that. And I think that's Addison. I think it's Greg, and I think it's the casting, and it's just a lot of fun. I think the movie's going to have a lot of fans.
We love you too, Bill. It was really fun.
Yeah,
I read all that.
Kansas, like Bill's saying, there's a lot of fun making the movie. What did you think? One thing it's making the movie and you think it's a lot of fun, but then you actually see the movie all put together, edited together. What did you think of it?
I thought it was so funny. I didn't know how it was going to turn out because we're really only in like half of it, so I didn't know what the other stuff was going to be like. And
that was something I was kind of wondering myself. Like, Greg's cutting the movie, and I'm thinking, they're only in these parts. What the hell are they going to think of the rest of the stuff that we filmed without them? And that was something I was just kind of like, I hope they like it. I hope they like the rest of this goofy stuff because they're not here for it, or they weren't here for it. So yeah, I'm glad that you guys liked the rest of it and not just like the stuff that you were a part of.
Or just fast forward over that.
I just thought it was.
Like, I'm not in this scene.
Oh, that was the wonderful thing. I mean, Kansas and I were in like you said, about half the movie, and I knew we had a lot of fun, but I never dreamed the movie would be as funny as it is. It is just like that scene. The Ratatouille scene was just an example. I was watching the Ratatouille scene, okay, and I'm thinking, what is this about? And it was like came out of nowhere. By the end of that scene, I was laughing so hard I was almost falling out of the chair. It was so funny, and that was just one example. I mean, there was the newscasters and the scenes in the park with Dylan and Amanda, and it was just everything was so weird and hysterical and off the wall. It was just exactly what I think it should have been. And of course, I enjoyed my own performance and Kansas's performance too. I did. I mean, I can't be objective about it, but I think we were wonderful.
I love it. Yeah,
that's a good quote for like the DVD or the poster. I think we were wonderful in the movie. Quote Bill Weeden.
I thought I was great.
Yeah, I'm really good in this. Quote Bill.
Don't tell me actors are not narcissistic, because I know they are.
Yeah.
You were. We got so lucky. With everyone. It's funny. We obviously got so lucky with Kansas and Bill, and they were just amazing. And like Addison was saying, they improv lines and made stuff up that was just hilarious. Like, I think we should shout out that Bill wrote his own rap in the beginning.
Oh yeah.
Incredible.
I think
Kansas had tons of jokes.
His songwriting background.
Exactly. Yeah. Kansas had tons of great jokes that were so funny to put in and everything. But and then beyond them, the newscasters, who honestly, again, they're real local actors and stuff, so they are in stuff. But then there's a lot of people too that are non-actors that just like showed up, that sometimes drove themselves or flew themselves like halfway across the country to be in this thing.
Like, those people we don't really shout out to them as often, just because they literally, I put out on Facebook, like, hey, if anybody wants to come and get killed in Psycho Ape, we film every Thursday, because we dubbed that Psycho Ape Thursdays, and we worked on the movie every Thursday for like 6 to 8 months. And that's what I said to people: if you want to come be in the movie, come on a Thursday. I gave them my address, and they would show up to our apartment, and we would go kill them outside with, Caro syrup and bananas. So a lot of the people that you see get like their heart ripped out or leg chopped off by a banana. Those were just people that showed up for a single day, but they drove from either like Tennessee, like Indiana, and
one person flew
Rochester, New York.
Rochester, New York.
Like you said, Tennessee. Yeah, they were from all over the
place.
Again, Steve too. We can't forget.
The Yellow Lady came from Las Vegas, didn't she?
Yeah, the Suzanne, who gets the bowl full of banana jello in her face. She flew from Las Vegas to Detroit for a single day just to film that scene. And she brought all her own jello mix and all this stuff, and then just went back home. Like, we filmed her for about an hour.
Brought her own jello. I like that.
Brought her own jello. And it was like cans of other stuff that we didn't even use, because she was like, well, if the jello doesn't read on screen, then I've got this other, canned gelatin that we could substitute. And it's like, wow, you went above and beyond here.
Bob Colcott as the banana guy.
Yeah, Bob Colcott. He came from Rochester, New York, just to film with us for a day. He brought his own banana suit, and he brought those googly eyes and that fake stretchy tongue. He just showed up with a box of stuff.
And Adrian came in, and Daniel Koo.
Well, we filmed with them when we were in New York, but they allowed us to, bloody up their clothes and everything like that, and just, ditched their stuff on the side of the street, and we, took off.
And I just wanted, because the friends of theirs, Dylan and Amanda, their delivery was very good in the movie, I thought.
They were amazing. Yeah, they were amazing.
Almost every bit of dialogue from them is 100% improvised. I don't think we ever told them to say anything.
No, I think that they that's the most improvised in the whole thing, because we literally just probably walked around that park. I think it's I don't remember what park it is, but we walked around that park in New York filming for like maybe 20 minutes straight, and they just said all that, and it just got cut down.
Yeah, there's still more. There's more footage of them just walking around and talking, but yeah, Greg cut it down to what it is now, but it was, probably double that,
Yeah, Dylan's a genius.
Dylan, we should shout out to, Dylan is actually a filmmaker in her own right, and makes great films, and I think has something coming out that I think Kansas is in, that's coming out, I think, soon.
Really?
And yeah, she's a brilliant filmmaker herself, and Amanda's a great actress. They were phenomenal. They were absolutely amazing.
And those scenes are so John Waters. To me, they're the most John Waters.
That's all them. Like, that's just literally Greg filming them, just having conversation based on, hey guys, there's an ape running around New York, go, and they just came up with it.
I shot a short film with Dylan, directed by Hectic Knife himself.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
Have I told you about that, Greg?
Yeah. It didn't go too well, did it?
I owe my life to Dylan. She saved my life.
When he says Hectic Knife, he means Peter Litvin, who plays.
I thought he was
referring
to you. I see.
No, I mean Peter Litvin. He directed this thing, and I fell off. I was lying on something like an ironing board or something. I don't know, and it collapsed, and I fell on my head. And Dylan was there, and thank God, she was like so great. I guess, I've never seen the film. but it's a
Might bring
small
back
world.
bad memories of falling off the irony.
Yeah.
there.
Small world. The small world.
Yeah. Something Suave wants to know: are there any deleted scenes that you wish that you included in the film?
I think Greg did a good job in cutting out what we needed to, like, it was more, I mean, there's not straight up scenes, you know, it's more extra footage, and anything Greg cut to make the pacing better, I was all for it. You know, I think early on we decided that this movie should not be any longer than like 70 minutes because you don't want it to overstay its welcome.
I think that's because I've seen movies that are fun, and but you do think like this, it shouldn't be a 90-minute movie. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, 90 minutes for something like this is way too long. So I think we set the bar at 70 and we ended up with 64, which I think is perfect. I mean, the movie itself is like an hour. So for 59 minutes and 30 seconds, you just get like a barrage of silly jokes and, you know, blood and guts. And it's just this weird thing that you can sit there and watch for an hour and then move on.
The funny thing is, you really feel like you've seen a feature film. It's not. It doesn't seem like that.
Yeah, it doesn't feel like a short or anything.
It really feels full. It really feels
to me,
like a movie.
If take an hour and you pack it full of as many jokes and like kill scenes and stuff like that as possible, make it more dense with content rather than stretch it out. Because I mean, Greg and I, we used to come back from these conventions with movies from all kinds of people. And we would just kind of watch them and think like these are just so long and scenes are stretched out. And, you know, it's just, you know, they would have been better had like an editor stepped in and just started eviscerating the film and cut it down like by half, you know, and then it would have been a better, you know, it would have been better as a short. But so that was just something that we had in the back of our heads. Like if we're going to set out to make this movie, you know, it's got to be short because it's such a stupid thing. It's such a dumb movie that, you don't want that to wear too thin and get on people's nerves, and just get in, get out, get it over with, pack it full of jokes and movie parodies, and just, you know, that's it. That's the movie.
And I know Addison keeps describing the movie as dumb, but actually it's really,
well, it is dumb.
In my opinion. And
it's designed to be dumb.
Yale, it's very smart. Smart in a dumb way.
It's
That's
because
another great quote for this.
How long is Schlock? It's like it's like 70 minutes probably. And
yeah,
I think
it feels like it's 2 hours.
Right. Well, yeah, because even Schlock is really padded out by like literally like footage from the Blob and like all these really long-winded scenes that make it feel super long and kind of frankly boring. I think just that's what Addison was saying exactly, is sort of we didn't, even at 64 minutes, we didn't want it to feel like it's I mean, I think honestly, obviously there's people that have complained about the Ratatouille thing being too long, which I kind of like, that doesn't bother me. But no, yeah. I mean, I echo everything that Addison was saying for sure. And Bill, I appreciate that very much. I mean, look, in the opening scroll that Bill, that you deliver so well, you call it, you know, the dumbest, cheapest movie ever made or whatever. But yeah, I think, you know, it's what did you say? Dumb, but smart, dumb or something. I think that's
like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is a dumb movie, dumb in that sense, but it's not dumb. It's very hip, very hip.
Thanks, Bill. Thank you.
Trista, another question?
Out, but anyway.
What's next for all of you guys? What else are you working on?
We'll start with Bill. What are you working on?
Well, I'm gonna be. I've done a short film which is being released very soon called Full Throttle Paradise. It's going to be really great. It's written and directed by a guy named Nick DeSimone, with whom I traveled to South Korea last year to do his play. He's a brilliant playwright, and he's rewritten the play we did in Korea. He's expanded that, and we're going to do that as soon as we can get on a stage. And as I said, the movie that Michael Epstein and Sofia Castile have made, the ones in Future Smash, that Neal is the co-producer of. And I think that's going to be awesome when they get it done. And what else? Oh, I'm reading audiobooks. I'm reading audiobooks by a very famous mystery writer named Lawrence Block, who does a series called, based on a detective named Matthew Scudder. His most famous book is 8 Million Ways to Die, which was made into a really bad film. Yeah, the book is in New York. They moved it to LA, and that was the worst mistake they could make. But anyway, I'm reading. My wife and I are reading audiobooks, and we're reading a couple that he wrote way back in his career when he was writing under a pseudonym, and they are so hot and sexy and X-rated. You wouldn't believe the things we are talking about. And the words we say. I don't know. They outdo Psycho Ape. So anyway, I'm doing that too.
Greg, what are you working on?
Yeah, so like we were saying at the beginning, I'm moving out to LA. I lived in New York for a bunch of years when I was younger. I'm finally gonna make it to LA, and I'm excited about that. I have a short that Kansas has agreed to be in that I'm excited to film that with her when I get out there, hopefully soon. And I've been writing a lot, and I want my next sort of kind of DVX DIY street film to be this thing called Bad Brain that I've been playing around with. That's kind of a crazy comedy, anarchy kind of a movie, but hopefully a step up from the stuff I've done before. And then I've been writing a movie with a friend of mine, so I have a couple of screenplays going on, and trying to just keep writing feature screenplays and getting a big feature off the ground, hopefully.
Cool. Kansas.
I just finished a feature film that should be coming out early next year, writing and directing it, and I'm in pre-production for two different other features that I don't know which one I'll do first, but working on both. And then I'm always doing music videos. They're on my website if you guys want to check them out, and acting and things sometimes. I don't know. I probably have things coming out soon. I don't know about. Oh, I'm about to act in a movie tomorrow.
Oh,
I don't know if I can say anything about it yet, but so I don't know why I brought that up. But yeah.
Well, that reminded me that the fact that you signed on to the film without even reading a script. We never even sent you, I don't think, the outline. You were just, yes.
Well, the name is pretty intriguing.
Yeah. I just remembered that. Like, we barely had an outline even written. And it's like, hey, Kansas, do you want to be in this movie? And you said yes, just because, like, okay, Greg's going to be involved and Bill's going to be involved. And so that was another thing. Like, once we started shooting, it was like, when we were rolling, it was like, these people don't know what we're going to be filming today. And that's kind of part of the fun of the movie too, I think, is that, every day was kind of a surprise.
Yeah. Much.
Yeah.
I trusted Greg because Hectic Knife is so good. So it was like, I'm in good hands. It's I'll do whatever you dudes want.
What are you working on, Addison?
I just finished. I'm doing sort of like pre-production on. I used to do this show called Tro Masterpiece Theater, and it was like a mystery science theater type moving riffing show for Troma, but not licensing movies from Troma anymore. And so I'm rebranding it and calling it Roast Masterpiece Theater instead. And it's essentially, I play a movie theater usher, and I have two puppet companions. One's a talking box of popcorn named Corny, and the other talking puppet is called Really. And we sit at the bottom of the movie screen and heckle movies. But because movies are expensive to license, I'm rebranding the whole show from the ground up, where instead of licensing like pre-existing movies and writing riffs for them for the entire feature, the characters within the show, me as a movie theater usher and Corny, and Really, we're going to be developing our own sort of like do-it-yourself schlocky horror films and kind of like riffing on our own work. Sort of like, it'll be different kind of riffing, where instead of riffing on a pre-existing movie and like making movie references and calling out how bad the film is or whatever, it'll be sort of a peek behind what it's like to be like an editing bay of like, looking over Greg's shoulder, like when he's cutting a film or something like that. And so it'll be a different kind of movie riffing show where these characters build their own schlocky films and then poke fun at their own like choices of, you know, dialogue and acting. And
instead of making fun of the movie, you'll be making fun of Greg.
Well, you know, something like that. Yes.
Yeah.
But like that's essentially the core idea of it, is that they make their own movie like as the characters, and it's like a backyard Frankenstein movie, you know, for no money. And then they sit there and watch the completed feature, and we're as the audience sort of watching them watch the movie that they kind of made, sort of like Johnny Depp and Ed Wood, you know what I mean? Like, you know, all the scenes where he shoots. Like,
will the movies also be released as the movie, or will that be the only version of the movie?
Like on the DVD, I'll have like the ripped version with the characters poking fun of their own film, and then I'll have the unripped version. But the unripped, I mean, I'm only aiming for like another like 50-minute feature, 60-minute feature for like the thing that they make, because it will be of poor quality, and it won't be like designed to be like a super meta funny film like Psycho Ape is. Like the jokes aren't going to be built into the movie. It's just that it's going to be like a schlocky, low budget, like Frankenstein movie. Like I just raised money for a Kickstarter. I'm going to go buy Frankenstein props and stuff like that. And they are just going to riff on their own silly movie. Well, it'll look silly. It's just that the movie itself won't have like meta fourth wall breaking jokes and stuff like that. It'll just be different.
Interesting. And Steve, I'm sorry we didn't get to you more often. What are you working on? Are you involved in this?
Yes. They're
putting you in a Frankenstein suit.
Episode 2, I do the puppeteering and voice for Reilly.
Mm-hmm.
Well, another one of our friends is Corny, and yeah, I'm tagging along for the ride for Roast Masterpiece, Cult of Frankenstein. And like, I'm not a director or like actor myself, like Bill or Kansas is, but yeah, I'm just fortunate enough to tag along for the ride.
Yeah, he's good for bouncing ideas off of too, and you know, coming up with funnier stuff. Like if I, you know, have an idea for something, I might run out in the living room and be like, "Hey, does this sound funny? Does it sound good?" And he'll suggest something, and it'll be better now. So, you know, he's an actor, friend, you know, someone I can collaborate with as well.
Very cool.
He definitely came up with some good stuff that's in Psycho Ape. We should definitely mention.
Oh yeah. I mean, he wrote the whole scene
for sure, and he wrote some good stuff.
He wrote entire scenes, like the whole scenes were him. The whole scene that's kind of like the girl walking down the street with the books, and she punches the ape in the face, clocks him out, knocks him to the ground, and then she gets stomped on. That was all him.
And funny enough, that's the only banana slip like kill that we have in the entire thing. It's like why didn't we have more of that? I don't know, but like, yeah,
I don't know. Yeah,
we got one in there.
We got one, but I think initially we set out to do like 20 or 30, like almost to the point of absurdity, but we just never got around to it. It's just the banana slip was one and done.
Fair enough. Yeah.
And the other one was the two guys who died from eating poisoned banana splits. Those are actually my brothers.
Yeah, you see in the end credits, it says Steve's brothers. Those are actually his brothers. And they, he wrote that whole concept of, them eating poisoned ice cream in the middle of the park. And yeah, so, I mean, he may have been the ape, but he wrote some scenes too.
I also like their character names, Ice Cream Liker and Ice Cream Lover.
Was that Greg's idea?
Oh, yeah.
I like those. Those were funny.
That's Greg. Greg came up with the names. Yeah, all the silly names in the end credits. Like
Yellow Biafra too.
Yeah.
Even at the end when they're shown at the end montage of like where they are now, it just says Steve's brothers, and I didn't want to correct that at all because that's just so funny. There's just like no further backstory.
Mm-hmm.
Just they're Steve's brothers.
Yeah. It's funny as is, so leave it.
So funny.
Yeah. Bob Coldicott says hello from the chat room.
Hopefully Banana Man. Yeah, Banana Man himself.
Okay.
Bob was awesome. Yeah, I'm so glad I got to meet him and become friends and stuff. And yeah, he's the one that drove out from Buffalo, New York, and brought the banana suit and the googly eyes. And yeah, he was really fun to work with, and I love that scene. And yeah. Hi, Bob.
Very cool. Well, Psycho Ape. You said it'll be out on Amazon Prime sometime in the near future.
Hopefully within like the next week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's hard to lock down a complete date
Sure.
because Greg.
no, it's-
I know
yeah.
he's packing up and getting ready to move, so texting him every day about it doesn't do anything. It's just it'll be on Amazon Prime when it's on Amazon
Yeah.
Prime, and
That's
making DVDs. The DVDs will exist when they're ready. So
Mhm.
to say like November
Is there a
1st.
place to? Yeah, no, that's fine. But
Incorrect.
is
That
there a
would be
place to
incorrect.
follow, like,
Yeah.
to get updates?
Just all of our Facebooks. I mean, like I update stuff and I tag everybody, and when you tag somebody, that appears on their Facebook too. So you can follow any one of us on Facebook or social media, and you'll see something. Bill actually has been one of the biggest one of the biggest like voices for the film. Even before we had a finished cut, he was promoting it, and it was like, wait, it's not done yet. It's not done yet. You're too early.
He's very proud of it. He's proud of his work.
Yeah, well, I didn't know at that
Good
point how
man.
proud I was going to be. I hadn't seen the movie. When I saw the movie, then I really got.
Yeah, he was promoting the film before having even seen the final cut. He was just like, "Hey, it's coming, it's coming." It's like, wait, hold on, man. Like, it is coming, sure, but I don't know when. You haven't even seen it yet.
Very pushy. That's
To build anticipation, right?
Yeah.
Kansas is bossy and pushy.
That could have been your IMDb credits, or then like pushy and bossy. But
Pushy and bossy.
this is very fun. I appreciate everyone being on.
Hey, thanks for the invite.
For having us.
Yeah.
Glad to be here.
Nice to see everybody again.
Great to see y'all. So long,
Good luck on Psycho Ape,
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Neal.
and thanks everyone for watching.
And Tristan, sorry. Thank you too.
All right, good night, everybody.
Good night.
Good night.
See ya.
Yeah.
Now we just leave. We leave.
We just leave. Yeah, it's all.